Nigerian aviation employees on Monday blocked roads to the domestic terminal of Lagos Airport, slowing down traffic and threatening to delay flights as they began a two-day strike to protest working conditions and wages. The sector regularly faces jet fuel shortages, often leading to local flights being grounded and international carriers struggling to repatriate revenue from ticket sales due to a shortage of, currency. In the commercial capital of Lagos State, chanting workers blocked roads to the domestic terminal, creating a traffic jam and forcing passengers to finish their journeys to the terminal on foot. But, however, international flights were not affected. And joining us, of course, to continue having this conversation is Dr. Dayo Kayode. We call him Dr. D. He's still with us.
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you analyze the causes of the strike? It has been recurrent. Last year we had something like this, the year before actually. And it keeps happening over and over again. Is it that we keep doing the same thing and expecting a change? Or what really is the situation?
You see, the situation that we are in Nigeria, it's not only in the aviation sector, also in the educational sector, also in the health sector, agri sector, all the sectors. When you sum everything together and you look at it deeply with insight, it's nothing other than idiocy of the government. How do I mean? By not doing the right thing at the right time, rather focusing elsewhere. With the Yorubas, we say, when we were growing up, there's one plant called Igi Lapalapa. Do you understand? They always use it as a shrubs to fence the house. But that shrub normally has one juice like that causes ringworm on the head. Okay? Now, if you don't want your child to have that ringworm, what are you supposed to do? And you see some people, they be treating that ringworm, but they will still leave that lakpa shrub there. Are you not supposed to, first of all, eradicate that before you now treat this? Do you get? But now you are now saying, you see, it appalls me when we even have brilliant people in government. But when they get there, they do something else. I remembered when Hidi Sirika was being appointed as the aviation minister. Some of my friends hailed him. I wouldn't mention a particular friend of mine that was always following him there. Now he's singing another song. Because he was being seen as somebody who should understand all goings within the industry. But look at what we are having now. Here is somebody that went to launch an airline that was not having a website, that was not having shareholders, that was not having an address, that was not having even a call sign. Not to talk of other things that are supposed to go. Where is that airline today? Has it taken off? How many years ago? How much money has it been spending on this?
All right.
So these are issues that are causing problems in the industry. Look at this strike now. Look at this current strike. When you look at the Nuate, Atsan, and all the aviation unions that wrote the communique, for long they have been talking to the captains of the industry, to the leaders of the industry, to the head of those parastatals. Look at what we are facing. Look at this, look at that. Since when? But they have not been talking. Now that they were about to embark on strike yesterday, on Monday, Sirika was now calling them to come to Abuja. Meanwhile, they had some other meetings here. they said, look, we cannot come because we have that meeting except you come here and meet with them. But see what we are facing now. Some people will argue. I want to preempt you. Some people will argue. Are they not supposed to be in the essential service? Do you understand? They will further argue. Can they still go on dialogue? But my reply to such people is this. Yes, essential services. But there's supposed to be a kind of asymmetric relationship whereby they are on this side and then the controllers are on this side. If they are trying to maintain peace and above from industrial actions, to what extent as the people on the other side be treating them to make them comfortable? And again, when you are now talking of dialogue, for how long have they been doing this with the authorities? Have they listened? Let me take you to Mahatma Gandhi in his Satyagaya that talks about peaceful settlement of disputes, which I strongly believe in. But at the same time, J.F. Kennedy said, those who make peaceful change impossible will definitely make violent change inevitable. Now, so when you are now trying to cut the rope of peace and unity, there's bound to be gap. And when there is gap, not until when you build a proper bridge to cover that gap, then there can be peace and unity.
Dr. D, as much as we know, this issue we're discussing now has to do with cause versus effect.
Yeah.
Now, is it not high time we start calling a spade rather than calling
exactly
a spade a shovel? Because why I'm saying this is because this same administration, it took Buhari 6 months to elect ministers.
8
or 8 months.
Yeah.
If I would be
to come up with a list.
To come up with a list of ministers, cabinet ministers that will work with. Now we are seeing.
Was bringing them from
now
there.
We are seeing such kind of ministers who even had the temerity to commission a 10 fire truck to the tune of how much? Imagine using half of that money to make sure that these issues that we're having right about now is sorted. We won't be in this mess.
How about using billions of dollars to go and train how to repair telephone?
In the excuse is given that for the past 12 years or so, they've not been able to purchase such kind of fire equipment. Now we're seeing this. Could it not be that we are seeing issues that have to do with elections come with consequences, especially with regards to electing persons who, by virtue of their election, bring about some sort of ineptitude in their disbursement of their duties?
I will tell you this. A nation or a people deserves the kind of leaders that they have. Okay? Somebody like me, and I won't be shy to say it. I never campaigned for this present government in 2014, 2015. Because I knew that these are people that are strange fellows to themselves. Strange fellows. People with different ideological background. Okay? It's just as you are now. Even though we are both guys, our needs, aspirations, belief system differs. So, for anybody to group the two of us within the same strata of the structure, the person will be making a mistake.
Okay, but let's point out.
And that is exactly what we are saying.
Let's point out the challenges. What are the aviation workers asking for, and how did the aviation workers get to the point where they are at now? Has it always been like this?
It has to do with condition of service. It has to do with conditions of service. I am an aviation expert. I know what is going on there. I have been in the union before. Do you understand? And I know what it takes to talk about conditions of service.
Conditions have always been the issue.
The issue is that's what I'm coming up with.
What has there ever been a point of agreement before? The other times that the aviation workers went on strike, what happened that brought them back to work? And has those things been implemented? Is these demands that are being made now, are they fresh or they're stemming off from where we stopped the last time?
They are stemming off and inclusive of other unpalatable activities within the environment, especially in the area of aviation fuel again. All right? But what we are saying presently is top on that agenda is the condition of service. And again, even one of the sections within the industry are claiming that the past wage increase had not been implemented within their own industry. With the past one of which government is planning another one now. Even the arrears.
You mean the 30,000 naira minimum wage increase?
That's what I read in their communique yesterday.
Wow.
One of the unions said it. Okay? And even the arrears are not being paid. Okay? So tell me, and these are people that have been going on roundtable dialogue with the various authorities, and they refuse to. But we know the way Nigeria is. Look at what happened during ASU strike. But it's unfortunate they cannot prolong the aviation strike like that of ASU, because when the industry sneezes, the whole world will catch cold. International flights will not be able to come in. Those that are here will not be able to go out. No, imagine that. The cargo freights that are outside will not be able to come in. Those that are supposed to go will not be able to go. The businessmen will start shouting. International community will start shouting. But it is a pity. It is a pity. We have not been able to put our right foot in the right position.
Like that was going to be my next question. Are there conditions that were supposed to have been met that weren't met? I mean, on the side of the aviation workers. Is it that at some point they said, okay, so if you give us A, then you will get your B? I'm trying to understand, the outcome of all the dialogues that they've been having all this while, and why it seems like the river suddenly stops flowing.
You see, when you're talking of condition of service in the aviation industry, it has to do with, one, salaries, duty allowances, night shift allowances, okay, increments, general increments in wages for workers, okay. Then again, when the inflationary rate has taken over the real income now, let me use that word, the real income now. I mean, aviation industry is different from any other industry. Because because nothing is expected other than 100% safety. And when a little factor that contributes to that is being distorted, for instance, when you are sick and you are being asked to go on duty, you might misdirect the aircraft that wants to land, because if you are feeling dizzy on your drugs and you are still being forced to be on duty, when you are supposed to direct an aircraft to 18 left, you might direct it to 18 right, and that 18 right might be under repairs. What happens to that aircraft? Go and study what happened. Go and study what happened to Hydro Air, the Hydro Air incidents of I think 2000 or 2002. Go and study, then you understand what I'm saying. Your psychology must be perfect. Your concentration must be perfect. Your sense of judgment must be perfect. Because there is nothing like 99.9% safety. No.
100.
Then when you now look at, when you now put that one vis-a-vis, the causes of all aviation industry that has ever happened in the world, you're going to see that nothing less than 90% of it are human error. And for you to remove that human error, you need to treat those people that are carrying out those activities appropriately so that they can be stable while on job.
Now, when you talk about those issues that you enumerated, you talked about salary increment, you talked about working condition, allowances, and all of that. What actually is the issue? Is it that these needs cannot be met? Is it that they are unrealistic? Or someone somewhere is not really paying attention to these needs?
And that's why I labeled everything together within our system as idiocy of government. It's not that they don't know it's there. But instead of them to do the right thing, no, they will not do the right thing because of their hedonistic tendencies.
So looking at this action that has been taken now, do you think
the money is
do you think it is worth it?
Okay, is it also worth it? Is it also worth it not to allow the airlines to take their money back to their home country? Is it also worth it? Are these not issues? There are agreements. When it comes to bilateral agreements in how do I put it now? I remember now. Do you understand?
You know why I'm asking this? Because most unions,
and those people, when they are now saying they are not coming with the aircraft again, you will now start shouting.
You know why I'm asking.
What are you using their money for?
Dr. D, you know why I'm asking this? Most unions have come to realize that the last resort is usually an industrial action, a strike.
What is supposed to be?
My question is, are there no other options that could be explored?
And that's why I said,
without having to resort to strike.
Before anybody can discuss this kind of an issue, the person needs to have taken a costly evaluation of what has been happening in the past to the present. Before going on this, before embarking on this, they talked about how many meetings they have been having. They were being on the path of Indira Gandhi Satchugaya. All right? But when you have done that, and then the other party is now overstretching their own luck, you have no option than to go the way of J.F. Kennedy, the former American president, which was also blown up by Bola Ige during the elections of 83. So these are issues. They have been going on dialogue. Look at ASU. For how long has ASU been dialoguing with the government? Agreement have been signed since 2009 until it degenerated in 2021 to 2022. And some people will now come and be blaming ASU. Look at the one of enemy. Look at the issue of JAPA now. The issue of JAPA by professionals, especially the medical doctors. And some people are sitting somewhere. I mean, how let me be mindful of my words there. And somebody will now be saying, after being trained, use your money to train in a private university. Will not allow you to travel out of the after 5 years to go for a greener pasture. I mean,
Let's look at the effects. So
let us always put the right peg in the right hole in this country.
Let's look at the effects, the economic effect on the individual, the member of staff, who is currently probably at home now, who has already been going through some financial stress and now has to even stay at home. How would you actually? How would you look at the effect it's going to have on the economy?
I will use a statement. I will use a statement to advise those staff, because I've been there before. Jesus Christ, our Lord, never gotten that crown of glory without going through the cross. Okay? You have to, if you want that crown of glory, you got to go through the cross. If you want a good condition of service, you got to follow what your union leaders are telling you. Because what most, I will use that word here now, because there are some aberrations. I also experienced it. Most union leaders, what they are out for, nothing other than good welfare of their members. And as such, to be able to ensure that the vision and mission statement of their organizations are being fulfilled. All right? So, if somebody somewhere is now saying, look, we ain't going to allow you. We ain't going to allow you. And if they should succumb to such a fatality, that means they themselves, they won't get themselves fulfilled. Everybody has an ego to feed. Fulfillment of your goals and aspirations. So there is no other way they can go at this point other than industrial action. And that industrial action will not include destruction of lives and properties. No. No. I won't subscribe to that.
All right. So
there are ways you can go on industrial action without necessarily destroying properties and death of members.
So when you talk about putting the round peg in the round hole, whom are we to blame? Who is to blame for this? Is it the minister, the aviation minister, or his boss?
I will also put it across to you like this. There was a rector in one polytechnic in Osun State who was not supposed to be a rector, and claiming that he had gotten a PhD. Somebody put him there now. Isn't it? People claiming to be a medical personnel working in our ministries, Ministry of Health. Who put him there? Okay, maybe it's you. Is it you? Can't be you. It's those people in authority that are smuggled themselves there. And that's why I always warn people that when you want to elect your leaders, you got to do some background checks. Unfortunately here, we have allowed money to take over the truth that we are supposed to say. When you have dubious people that doesn't have background, people that their backgrounds are questionable, when you have them there, who do you think will be in positions of authority under them? Yoruba said, "Oni amuku ẹrù ẹwọ." Oni sa ẹlẹwọ òkèlè ẹwọ.
Meaning, for those of us who are listening,
I don't want to. I will give it to you. When there is a fault somewhere, and people are now looking at that faulty situation, is it the faulty situation you should be looking at, or what is it that has caused that faulty situation? I don't know whether you understand. You have to look at what has caused that faulty situation. So it is when you have now resolved that area that you can now go to that place. Whatever damages have been done, you repair it. And by the time this one is now coming, you're going to see that the trajectory will be very smooth.
All right, but what would you, if you were in a position to make a change, in a position to give suggestions, what would you say are the possible solutions to these issues?
The summation of what Nigeria is experiencing is nothing other than systemic breakdown. There are, instead of us building institutions, we have been building people. If we have been having strong institutions, what happened in the Adamawa wouldn't have happened. what happened during February 25th general elections wouldn't have happened. What is happening to ASU wouldn't have happened. But rather, we have been building strong individuals that are now, that have been now holding us with their oligarchical clause, which is detrimental to we Nigerians experiencing what we call real democracy. So not until when we reverse the case by building strong institutions rather than individuals, then the center can never hold.
So strong institutions as against strong individuals. Well, there has been conversations as well about how institutions do not drive themselves. Institutions are driven by individuals.
When we're talking of institutions, we're talking about rules of engagement. We're talking of guidelines. We're talking of a pathway. Okay? When we have that, that means we have upright people. Even when you are not upright, when you get there, you know that even as president, when you misdive, when you misbehave, there are checks and balances. Not to have a Senate president that we say the president is our father. Whatever he asks us to do, we will do. No. Not to have a Senate that will not be able to be a kind of a check and balances on the executive. Not to have a judiciary that will be in the pockets of some individuals. Not to have a police that rather than policing the society, but because of, do you understand? Atenuje, they will now be following even the rogues that are stealing money, the rogues that are stealing our oil resources. They will now be following them and be their ADC to be guiding them. Not until when we stop this and then give respect to each other. If I know you have a gun and I have a gun, I will mind the way I oppress you, because whoever pulls the trigger first gets the day. So I'll be mindful the way I deal with you. So not until when we get to that situation whereby we know that yes, there are rules and regulations guiding us. There are guidelines that we need to follow along the line, and that there is nobody that is above the law, then we ain't going to get to anywhere.
Right.
For us to get a solution, you got to look at all this in depth.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. D, for joining us this morning on iBrandTV. It was really an eye-opening session. Thank you for doing justice to that conversation.
It's my pleasure.
It is still iBrandTV. We're going on a break. Food stuffs, the price of food stuff in the market is going crazy, skyrocketing every day. What you bought for a certain price this week will certainly not be the same next week, I can tell you that. And that is what Caroline Elegalam will be telling us when we return from this quick break. Is going to be food market trends. Stay with us.